Welcome to the Fantasy Trail. This is Matt along with
AT here.
Mike Scarano here. This week's high score, by the way.
And Harnett County Teacher of the Year.
Harnett County Teacher of the Year.
Congratulations, Mike.
Thank you, guys. Thank you very much.
Man, that was super awesome. I have to say my favorite part was Brian's, or whoever put up the the article. Brian commented, murder, rape, drugs.
I was going to try to show this newspaper. I was going to send it to some people, have everyone look at it. And boy, oh boy, they snatched that headline now.
Listen, they put you right in there with your ilk.
But this is season 3, episode 7 of the Fantasy Trail. We're a quarter way of the season, and do we know anything?
I can speak for myself in saying I don't know very much at all based on my score this past week.
If I could say maybe where we do know certain things, and I would look at this, is that there were some teams that started off very, very hot. I'm not saying they fizzled out, but they definitely came back to earth. There's a couple other teams who are doing well now, and maybe they're on an upward run, but it's hard to say. I just think with the PPR, our league is a little bit more volatile.
Points are up across the league. I saw a stat the other day that said this is the most points scored, this is the most yards had, this is the most touchdowns, this is the most everything ever through 4 weeks.
Do you think that that's because of the new rules as far as hitting the quarterback and the emphasis on eliminating helmet to helmet?
Yeah, I think that plays a role. I think also offenses have finally just realized that there's a revolution that probably should have happened a couple years ago, thanks to penalties that got put in a couple years ago. But the numbers are off the charts. Plus, it's early in the season. Defenses aren't adjusting without the preseasons. And the scores are just unbelievable. I mean, looking at our numbers, we'd have 7 people that would have had the high score last year during week 4.
I would like to have a proposal. Wouldn't it be great if everyone in the league could chip in $1 until a team gets to 200, and then they get all the money?
As if just getting 200 isn't enough of a reward.
Well, I mean, I just think it could be fun because we've never actually had it happen before.
It would take me 2 weeks to get there.
I love that, JT. That's very good, my friend.
So, but I'm more interested. What do you think the low score in the league will be this year?
Is it 103?
Is that a possibility?
I mean, no, Brian got 95 in week 1.
Okay.
Nobody beat that week 2.
But
like,
here's what I can say though.
Like in the past, we've had weeks where like
60s,
high 50s, maybe.
Yeah, 50s, 60s. Right now, Brian has it with 95 that first week.
Do you think, though, maybe with a couple more buys coming up, that those scores could actually lower down? Or I mean, I know there were some buys this past week.
They will. But, like, I'm thinking if anyone gets in the 80s, that would be pretty remarkable. I mean, I'm seeing a lot of scores just by individual players, Trubisky. But, like, how many 30-point games have we seen so far this year?
I don't know. I haven't seen any.
We all know.
No, I did hear on another note that NFL ratings as a whole were up, and I'm imagining it is because of the offense, or certainly imagine it would help.
Yeah, to your point, I saw an average week last year would have, as we're looking at the top score from each team, would have had 28-29 as an incredibly great score.
Yeah.
And this week alone, Casey had a 41, Angela had a 49, you had a 31, Michael had a 44, Scarano had a 31, Jake had a 33, Joel had a 34.
Yeah. And I want to say we've had
on and on.
Yeah, we've had players with 2 30-point scores on their team in a week.
And these quarterback numbers are absurd.
Yeah.
I mean, Trubisky, Goff, Ryan, Breeze, all 4 of them have had over 45 the last couple weeks. That's insane.
All right. So why don't we get into the recap?
Yes.
And I just lost it. So we're going to start from the bottom. Let's go with Brian.
And Rich.
And Look, a tough loss for Rich, or
Brian.
a tough loss for Brian. And my scores are not coming up. Rich won.
My scores are not coming up on my phone here. They're saying 0-0.
Well,
Yeah.
I got it. Rich pulled out a 150 with getting absolutely nothing from Breeze. Breeze gave him an 8, and Cook gave him a 2. So those are 2 of his best players, probably 2 of his best 3. And he pulled out 10 from them and still put up 150. So that goes to your point, Tamala, about the numbers being so high.
Gordon's been absolutely dominating for him this year.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Cooks has been really good. Cooper had a great week, just to kind of put one in your eye, Scarano.
Well, there we are, my friend.
Brian didn't even have a horrible week. It's not a great score in our league, but, there's still the reminder that he lost Burkhead. He still hasn't had Bell. And, he's had a lot of raw luck. When you're running out Aaron Jones as your number 1 running back, he can't be feeling great.
And I just want to talk about Bell for a second with this idea that there is some rumor, or maybe it is somewhat substantiated, that he will come back during the bye week. And I think for Brian, your best bet is to hope he gets traded and get traded quick. I mean, I could see him being very effective on a team like the Colts or the Packers, maybe.
I heard something interesting, which is that one of the reasons he wants to return a little maybe quicker than we would all be thinking is that his salary next year, if he gets traded or even if he doesn't and signs elsewhere, is based partially on what he made this year. So if he misses a bunch of games, you can only make 120% of what you made the year before. So every game he misses, he's costing himself salary. Even if he's signing a longer-term contract, the years and money has to be a little lower.
I just don't ever recall a player not accepting the franchise tag when all was said and done. I've seen years where, they hold out to the very last minute. I just don't recall. I mean, we're 4 weeks into the season here.
Look at Earl Thomas. Did you see what happened?
Yes, I did.
Did you see what he did to his sideline?
Yeah.
Yes, I did. My deal with it, though, JT, is this idea that it's a collective bargaining agreement. And what you did is you took more money and agreed to this franchise tag.
Yeah, but that's like saying that we agreed to some of the things that we agreed to. And you can't necessarily say that every player is fully supported by the union. So I don't know. It's a tough call, but Brian's getting absolutely screwed. If he gets him back, that changes everything. I mean, take out Jakeem Grant or take out Keelan Cole and put in 30 points there. And Brian's got himself a winning score and a score that would compete with anybody. So he's not dead, but he's really hurting right now.
And so if he comes back week 7, Bell's not the Steelers are on a bye, so he's not coming back to week 8. I mean,
Brian's gonna need to rip off a couple wins between now and then if he wants a chance.
Yeah. All right, so let's move on.
Good win for Rich though. 3-1, 3 in a row.
Yes.
Yep, he's on a tear now. Haley loses to Colin 146 to 154. It was a close game.
Haley made it close after it looked like it was over on Thursday night with the Gurley Cooper Cup 62-point explosion.
And I noticed that David Johnson is returning for her here. We were kind of discounting him and almost kind of counting him out at one point or another. And it looks like, I don't know, he's had ripped off a couple of good games here.
Yeah. And you know what? I mean, she has to be happy. That was not a great game for Mahomes, but he still put up a 24.
She almost came back.
That's a tough place to play a football game now.
Yeah, she almost came back, and Colin managed to win even with a -4 from his defense.
Yeah. And she has to be happy with what Rachel has to be happy with what George Kittle did. You know, there are big questions with that offense. What was going to happen? But he put up a solid 24.
Yeah, and she made a good move there at the last minute with Snead trying to pull out the victory. She's in a tough place with no TY this week, but I think she probably slides in. My trading AP if he's back.
Look at that now. Or will she play McCoy going with the homer?
AP did not practice today.
Saw that, but he's also old, so
Yeah,
It's
I mean,
Wednesday.
it's hard to say with a Wednesday, but you never know. All right, let's go on. Jake against Joel. Jake
This one sucked.
takes a
Joel was
victory, 151, 141.
really bummed. She was up by 4 and had 2 players on Monday night. You would think up by 4, she had Demaryius Thomas and Sammy Watkins against Travis Kelce. If you would have taken odds on that, you would have had her heavily favored.
You'd think. Sammy
And
Watkins is on my do not draft list, but I mean,
understandable. But Kelce pulls out a 21, which is not unexpected. But Watkins had been a 5, a 20, and a 19.
Now,
Like he was putting up numbers. That sucks. That was a tough loss for her. She was pretty pissed.
Did you two watch that game?
I didn't watch a second of it. No,
Because Kelce was shut out the first half, had nothing.
it's even worse.
So, yeah.
I mean, I expect that from him though. Like getting a 20 from him is not a problem. But I would have said Thomas and Watkins would have pulled 20 themselves combined, and they got a 6.
Yep. And that's with Jake getting a 1.3 from Crowell. 5.9 from Crabtree.
Everybody back. I get Jake when he gets Mixon, Ingram, and Edelman and Thompson back. So that's exciting.
But if you're going to get
Thompson is actually looking pretty good right now. Believe it or not, can't believe I'm saying it.
So, all right, moving on. Scarano, let's go to your matchup.
All right, sir.
Michael Thomas, and you absolutely destroyed him. Like you said earlier, high score of the week.
One of the things that was mentioned last week was there was a mention that I'm betting on the Patriots to do well. And at that point, it was looking like the Patriots weren't going to do well. And with Burkhead going out, I thought Michelle was a good play. Look, I bet against the Patriots too many times for too many years. I don't think they're done.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. Miami's not your yardstick you want to be going against. And I still think that you could be in trouble. I think if you watch that game, Tom Brady did not look very good.
Yeah.
His passes were wobbly. He was fine against a bad team at home where they ran up the score.
They were a 3-0 team, but Michelle looked good.
I'm sorry. Yeah, name their 3 wins.
Yeah,
Tennessee. They were okay. They're clearly a stud team out there who can't even figure out a quarterback to put out there. I'm not buying that was a real statement win by New England. I think he's looking old. I think if I actually sadly watched that game because I was having that one on my television. He did not look good throwing the ball. I would be a little more worried than I think you are with him.
I'm not worried with him. Now, Michelle looked very good.
Yeah, he looked fine. I think that was a good one. I also think they were running up the score, and he was getting a lot more carries than he might. 25 carries is not what I would say he's made for. He's a little bit of a smaller. That's more than all of his first 3 games combined. So
that's with Hill and Burkhead both going out, though.
I'm familiar. I understand, but I'm just saying I don't think he's made for that kind of workload.
So Jared Cook paid off huge.
Been great for those.
Stud tight end.
Very strange that he puts up such massive numbers.
The Ridley Shepard paid off very well.
Yes, both of them were fantastic.
And Shepard will continue to pay off until Ingram comes back to the offense.
Yeah, he's a little banged up, but I think he'll play.
I think he'll play. And Michael's team, a little bit of a slip, especially with the 41 from Goff?
44.
I don't have the stats.
Yeah, you were down 49-0, or 49-8 because you had the kicker after Thursday night. That's oof, yeah, you'd be looking at that feeling pretty bummed. But man, he came back slaughtered.
We'll talk more about when we get to rankings, but we kind of differed with Michael's team. Just looking at it, you give Goff a normal, 20 points. Then Michael's looking at a 120. Like, it's a very disappointing week for him. I know he had to hear from Howard.
He's putting up numbers. His numbers are up there one way or another every week. He's really high in points scored, and I think that's where I'm giving him credit, is that he's managing away every week, whether it's Hill or the bust out, or an Ajayi with bust out, or Antonio Brown or Coleman. There's always seemingly someone that's giving him that boost. 140 is a good score, 138 or whatever.
Yeah.
Do you ever think? Do you honestly think, in looking at the team, and they were very, very hot right along, is Antonio Brown? I'm not saying that he's not playing well or anything like that. His numbers haven't been wowing us and having these huge games like he occasionally does. And maybe that could happen next week.
Yeah, I think Ben doesn't look like his old self anymore either. I think that both he and Brady can still have good weeks, but just watching them, they don't look like the same player.
Yeah. All right, moving on. JT, you lost to Casey?
Pretty bad.
103 to 168. You had like ridiculously low scores.
Thank you.
Like 4 points from your defense, 4.5 points from Fournette.
Hey, my top scorer was a kicker, so I think I did just fine. Thank you very much.
JT, do you really think Luck is back? You have him in.
Yeah. I mean, of course I trade for him. I don't play him. Thankfully, it didn't matter, even though there was a 25-point difference between what I happened to do. I think I'm in trouble. I think I'm in trouble long term, regardless of whether Luck's back or not. And I came away from this week just not thinking I have anything going forward. My number one pick has played a quarter and a half, and he's at least out for the next couple weeks. He's been an absolute 100% bust. Kenyon Drake is another unbelievable, painful bust. I don't have any firepower. Beckham is fine. Landry is fine. Fuller's been very good, but also can't really stay healthy. I don't have anything beyond that. Between the injuries to Garoppolo and Ingram and Fournette, and just not great drafting on my part, I think I'm lucky to have 2 wins.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking here.
But so let's move on to Casey's team. Kate 168 is a terrific score. He had he had Parker in there. And
Corey Davis, come on. 31. Heck out of here.
But like
he picked him up. That was an ad, wasn't it? That wasn't even a waiver pickup.
Dude, he'd never had more than 12. Get to 31.
Yeah, against the Eagles. I know. I watched that game. It was painful.
I will say, in Casey's defense, he had the highest predicted of any of the flex players on the list of available players.
If that were the case, I'd win every week based on the guys I pick up. So,
but here's the thing: I'm looking at Casey's scores, and like he has a couple big scores, but like overall, it's not like a solid team.
Well, no, I mean Kamara, amazing.
Yeah,
but it's Kamara, Davis, and Moncrief. That's his entire squad, and basically the Packers did.
But like you look at some of the other top teams we've talked about who've put up it's been solid scores across the board, and like he's very player.
I don't think he has a great team, but he certainly slaughtered me.
He did.
And Freeman, and let's bear in mind that Freeman has been out for him.
Yeah, and he's got Eifert out.
Wait, Eifert's hurt again?
Done for the season.
I'm surprised to hear that, guys.
I mean, that was a gruesome one. I
know, but it's every year.
Casey loves tight ends. He's still got 4 of them.
Really? Hold on here. Oh my. I was gonna say no, that's not true now. Nope.
Let's move on to the final matchup of the week. I squeaked by Angela, 177 to 175.
Rubevsky.
Yeah, I mean, 6 touchdowns, ridiculous.
Nothing is better than the little text we got on Sunday saying, I was going to pick up the top quarterback, but he was on waivers. Yeah, Tamala, why was the top quarterback on waivers?
Lots of people have second quarterbacks on their team. I just thought it would have helped me.
But do they usually have it on their team for 5 minutes?
He was on there for 3 days.
with one purpose in mind.
Yeah.
And what did Tannehill score? Do you remember?
Oh, like a 0. He scored a 0.
Really?
Yeah.
I almost call shenanigans. Almost shenanigans here.
There may have been shenanigans.
I don't know if there could have been a better text than between that one and the one where she wrote in and said she now is thinking about voting for a points-based scoring.
Oh, Madone, I know. I can't get. I don't think we could just get the message across. I'm convinced it will never happen.
Yeah. Oh, I've given up.
Because I just don't. I don't think that people are able to often put in themselves into the position that you have like the third highest score in the league and you still lost.
Now, I think the most unbelievable part about this entire thing, and this might have slipped by you, Tamala. If it did, I'd like to share this with you. Another thing that unbelievable. It couldn't. Oh my gosh, what a horrible. Oh, did we lose Tamala? I think we lost Tamala.
Tamala, are you putting? Are you getting the presentation ready?
No, I think it's
okay. Keep going, JT. Keep going.
We'll keep rolling. But anyway, I was chastising Angela's choice to take out Keenan Allen, basically saying like he's gonna play, but she saw him as questionable, so she put Jordy Nelson in. I don't think anybody said anything, but she made a move at the last minute, adding the quarterback of Trubisky, adding a tight end for Benjamin Watson, and she switched out Jordy Nelson. She switched out Jordy Nelson for Keenan Allen at the last minute. If she would have left that in, that would have been a 4.2 point difference, aka Tamala loses.
And oh no, it wouldn't have got me, but it would have been one. I don't know. I would never play on a weekly basis. You would never think to play. You play Keenan Allen every week.
Don't you dare bring logic into this discussion. She started Mitchell Trubisky and got a 50 out of it. So no one ever in a million years would have ever thought that.
I think you call him Mitchell too. Everyone calls him Mitch, but his mom wanted everyone to call him Mitchell. No. And you're one of the ones who goes with it, Jay.
That seems important right now. Put up a 50.
Yeah. Killing me.
The absurdities of that week at least balance out with you getting a W because, I mean, I can't say a part of me didn't want to see you lose, but it only seems right that Mitch doesn't take you down.
Yeah.
There you go, Mike.
All right.
There it is,
ready for some fantasy rankings?
Yeah, well, I think you got some decisions and all of a sudden now. Who are you going to bench?
Well, and I think one of the decisions that I was starting to look at is I am classically go with points for, and it again fits my point system and the 2-point scoring system that I've discussed before. It does get a little bit more tricky when you have to start to look at the standings. That I have to consider that that's another factor, and I can't just look at points for, even though that is my main guide.
Yeah. All right, so let's go with our rankings. And you know what? I kind of like doing the rankings separately. I think we're being a little bit more honest.
Are you noticing different discrepancies between us?
Yeah, I mean, I think whoever goes first is the only person that has any real.
You have some influence. I mean,
yeah.
I look at what you guys put.
You can't help but.
All right, JP, you're number 12. You have a big trade.
How dare you, folks? I have 2 wins.
And you're the. We'll get to individual rankings, but like you ranked yourself the highest,
which was a 10.
Yeah.
Pretend I was putting myself in 2.
Yeah. But you know what?
But I think you could at least understand where we're coming from, boss.
Well, I think I'm better than Angela's team. I do. But
I will say I think you're a better owner than Angela. Your team is not better than Angela's team.
I think that's up for debate, but that's fine. That's what am I going to do? We took a fair process here. Can't get any lower than 12.
And you know what? I feel real bad for you with Fournette. I mean, announcing today that he's out for the weekend. I mean, that's terrible.
Oh, he's out for 2+ weeks. They just said.
Yeah.
That's not good, Jay.
All right, Brian.
Wow.
Coming in at 11. Look, he's looking at maybe having Bell for 6 weeks. Is it worth it? Can he hold off? Like you said, he does need to get some wins in here somehow.
He needs to get a win. He needs to get a win soon.
Yeah.
He goes down 5-0, and I think,
I think
luck.
Brian's in more trouble than I am in the grand scheme of things, even if I have a worse team right now, because his points are low just like mine, so he's not sneaking into the 5th or 6th spot. So that means he's got to be in a top 4 with wins, and he doesn't have any.
Yeah.
And do you think there's a chance that Bell sits out the year?
Yes.
It's too weird of a situation.
I mean, I don't know, Jay. You brought some information to me that I do find interesting, or how much you could earn from one year to the next. I find that interesting, but I think it's just possible that he continues his rap career.
I don't know. I think he's got financial incentive. I think he would really be hurt by that if he didn't come back.
And I think he won't. First of all, I don't think anyone's going to pay him $14 million a year. I think he's crazy if he thinks he's going to get that much money from a team. And I also think that if he sits out a whole year, they'll be inclined to give him less.
Yeah.
Brian, Gronk doesn't look like he's going to play this week. And Brian's thing, he
really, I didn't see that.
He missed practice today. He's been questionable. He left the game with the ankle. There's a pretty good chance I would say he doesn't play.
I do want to just mention and to make the comparison that this was me last year. You lose that number 1 pick right there, and I can't remember where it was. Was Bell taken at 3?
Yeah, I mean top 3.
I could be mistaken. Top 3. And you're sitting there and you're waiting. It affects the depth of your team. And that's why for a couple of years I've suggested during the draft that those top picks that we think are that great sometimes just aren't that good.
Sure. I mean, to a lesser extent, not that Fournette's anywhere near as good, but he's my number 1 pick too. I just don't think you can recover when you're expecting 20 points a week from somebody and you're plugging in somebody that maybe is going to get you 10 at best.
Yes. You have that top running back. We're a 1 running back league. Maybe you go more towards receiver and don't come back for another running back that quickly. I mean, yeah. Now, Brian has a ton of running backs on his roster, but they're all in timeshares. And, it's a big question of, are any of them going to take, they have opportunity, but will they take it and become a number 1 back?
Well, and I think that's a lot easier to do when you have Bell as your guy.
Yeah.
If you have Bell, then you can wait it out and see, and you can sit back and play a little bit more. But it's what makes fantasy so frustrating. That's not being a bad owner. That's just bad luck.
Yeah. All right, moving on. 10, Angela. Look, she put up the 3rd highest score in the league this week. She hasn't put up huge scores all year, but she's up there. I mean, she's middle of the pack. The whole question is, especially with buys coming up and more injuries, will she continue to make the moves to stay competitive?
Can we confirm that she made those moves on her own volition?
I mean, I assume.
Oh. I am all involved in fairness of it. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's got to run their own squad.
Okay, I don't think that she was told to pick up any people. I think that she was told that she wasn't maybe setting her team, and it was not from myself.
But I think she had Cam on the bye, and it's a lot easier to notice a bye than an injury.
Okay.
No, buddy.
He didn't travel with the team that week.
Or the next week.
Yeah.
Or this.
But still, I think the bye's easier. All right. Haley, number 9. Best quarterback in the league. David Johnson had his best game of the year.
Yeah.
What's happening with McCoy? I mean, that hurts. I mean, I know she wasn't
a write-off for this year. He's not putting up points when he plays, and there's looking like more and more evidence that he's going to be in some serious legal trouble.
And
if I were the Bills, I'd cut ties on this one.
Agreed.
I'm sure there's going to be a dead cap hit, but I mean,
Yeah, it just looks bad, though. Just awful.
And so right now she has Kittle in. Will she play Kittle, or is she going to go back to Graham? Kittle had a huge game.
Stay with Kittle and think that C.J. Beathard can't throw the ball that well and maybe needs an outlet.
All right, moving on. Number 8, Casey. Injuries. Injuries. And I know a lot of people have injuries, and he plays Angelo this week.
Yeah, I mean, what are you looking at that he's got injury-wise that's much worse than most?
You're saying the Eifert situation?
Well, Fitzgerald, Eifert,
I mean, Fitz is playing. He's just not that good anymore without anybody throwing to him. He needs at least somebody who has talent.
He's depending on a veteran quarterback, and it's not happening.
He's got Freeman, who will be coming back, and he lost his tight end, but he's got 6 more.
Yeah. But
okay. When he does drop Eifert, will he pick up another tight end?
I certainly hope so.
Maybe.
Got to keep the quota.
And Eifert is still on his team.
So is Delaney Walker, Matt. He's collecting trophies of expired.
Delaney Walker's on injured reserve at least. And then
he's not coming back.
I'm interested to see what happens with Kamara. What happens once the States integrate Ingram back into it? Does that change Kamara's role at all?
I mean, it might, but I think it keeps him healthier, and I think that's really important for Casey.
And will he then? Will they sometimes split him out like they used to when they were both playing last year?
He's so good. It looks effortless when he's out there. He's just astoundingly good.
What round was he taken in? Was he taken in the 5th or 6th round? Not in our league, in the NFL draft.
Yeah, I was going to say, I feel like the first.
whenever you draft a quarterback in the 1st round, I always ask, like, can you get 80% of what you think you're getting in the 5th round?
I don't know.
Next, Ma.
All right, moving on. Colin.
Wow, Scrano, look at you moving up in the world.
Look at this, my friend.
Look, Colin still has Dez. I mean, good for him.
Maybe I can't wait till the Week 17 report that says next week Dez might be signing with a team.
Yeah. And look, you know how I feel about all the Bears. Bears
you don't like it, but I think the Bears do. I think Mitchell's Mitchell's a fan of it, Matt.
Yeah. But with all the Bears on the bye, that's interesting to see what happens this week.
He's got to hibernate.
But you know what? Actually, once he gets through this week, I mean, it's pretty easy sailing for him.
That's true.
So maybe it will actually help him.
Yeah. Some people like that strategy of all at once.
All right. Joel, number 6, Watkins. I think we're looking with the Scarano, I know you don't like him.
He's been good.
He has been good. But I think I've heard weeks, not days with his injury.
I know she can't do it this week, but she finally got Tarek Cohen to show up. That could be an easy fill in there. And she picked up Boyd off the wire, and Boyd's been great.
Oh, incredible. I tried to get a trade going for him.
She's holding on to 2 defenses. And I think her biggest disappointment is Demaryius Thomas, like we talked about earlier.
Yeah, he's been a letdown. Case Keenum can't get the ball.
He's one of these guys who, when I saw his ranking last year, I was surprised. I thought it'd be much lower than it was.
Yeah.
Good.
He did it the first week, and then disappointing. All right, moving on.
There he is.
The Michael Thomas.
Oh, there he isn't.
Really?
All right, so he's the 3rd highest scoring team. He had no tight end. He picked up Umazoma. I don't even know how you say that. Tight end for the Bengals.
Bengals, yeah.
And then I think his question is, which quarterback do you play? Right now he has Goff in there, but, Kirk Cousins, I mean, he put up an equally impressive score last week.
I don't think you take Goff out.
I don't think you take Goff out unless there's a very favorable matchup and maybe the Rams are on the road.
Even so, have a team that let Corey Davis score 31 points. I don't know.
Nah. Goff is he's
incredible
offense. They keep their foot on the gas too. They do not let up.
So, but here is, what a difference 2 weeks makes. I mean, 2 weeks he was the toast of the league, ranked number 1, and now he's 5th, and he's still putting up decent scores.
I think he's doing just fine. I think he'll be okay. I still have faith in that squad.
All right. Scarano, you come in at number 4. Again, second week with a huge score.
Big score.
Julio, he's on pace for over 2,000 yards with
He hasn't got a touchdown, though.
Yeah, still doesn't have a touchdown.
But here's what he is, though. He's consistent. He's giving me the consistent 20 points every single week.
Yep.
I have a bad bye week, and my bad bye week is Atlanta. And that's a very bad bye week. Some of my young guys are stepping up. I got Michelle stepping up. I've got Michelle stepping up. The Shepard pickup was really big. I know he was dropped for a reason, but
you have Shepard stepping up, or Michelle stepping up.
And I mean, I do want to say this: Jared Cook is the #1 tight end in fantasy football right now, and I'm sorry to say, it's just a stud.
Yeah.
Well, Mike, he's been very, very, very good 2 games, and
he was ranked #1 before this week.
Yeah, but Mike, he's a 27, a 9, an 8, and a 31. So the 9 and the 8 are mediocre at best, but the other 2 games are incredible. He's been a roller coaster. You say Julio's consistency. I would say Cook is the opposite of it.
Okay, I agree with that.
But JT, I think that's the position of tight end, which tight end hasn't been on a roller coaster.
Kelsey's been good every week.
Week 1? What do you put up week 1?
Just 2, I guess. I would say 3 is better, but I mean,
I want to clarify this. He wasn't drafted.
I would not have faith in Cook being able to replicate what he's doing.
He wasn't drafted, though. He was a pickup after the draft.
It's a good move, Mike. I mean, I don't doubt that he should be played by you every week, and it's a good person. I wish I had him on my team. I just find him to be a little bit of an enigma to go from, an 8 to a 31.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of that has to go with game flow. I mean, I think he's a solid pickup, and I would say he's a definitely. While I wouldn't call him the best tight end, but I would say he's definitely a top 5.
Yeah, he's an interesting play. I'm fascinated right now that you have Michelle on the bench, Mike.
It's an interesting call. He just didn't catch the ball. And in college in Georgia, he was primarily used. Nick Chubb generally got the start, where Michelle was generally always going in on 3rd down and catching the ball, yet he wasn't really targeted at all in the screen game.
Right. It was all white.
I mean, in Georgia, that was his thing. And you thought that's why the Patriots drafted him.
Your depth is looking really good right now. I mean, there's 3 guys on your bench that I would be thinking about playing on my squad this week.
And that was a weakness at the beginning of the year.
Yeah. I really think it's going to be tough for you to sit Michelle and to play Baldwin.
Yeah, I think that is one. Baldwin does have me concerned. I was debating on whether Penny Baldwin, but it looks like Penny, I did get rid of him. It was time. I mean, he was a #1 overall draft pick. I'd say that's some pretty poor drafting now.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if you can trust Baldwin. I feel like a couple other guys in your squad have earned it. Maybe even Rodgers with some of the news today.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'm definitely considering him.
Interesting. Don't have much time to figure it out.
Right,
yes, I know.
Both the guys you'd be playing will be playing tomorrow.
Yep. All right, moving on. Rich. I mean, Rich's biggest issue is Cook and what they're going to do. I mean, he had to be extremely disappointed with all the scoring in that game. He had 10 carries in the first half and then nothing.
I think Rich has put up incredible numbers considering that Cook was his #2 pick and has not done much of anything. You usually look at that, and that's what leads to your 2 and 2s, your 1 and 3s, your 0 and 4s. And not only is he sitting on Gordon, who's still great, he's got 2 of the top 5 quarterbacks in the league. Matt Ryan and Drew Brees.
One of the interesting things about the Cook situation is that he did draft later in the draft. If I remember correctly, did he have the 12-13 pick?
He might have had the back-to-back Cook Gordon.
Back-to-back picks. And what I think it does is it allows for a little bit of a buffer. I mean, let's keep this in mind. He can't lay a complete egg, and he's done very well in spite of Cook. But it does give a little bit of buffer that he picked towards the end, and one of the guys is paying off heavy.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair because he doesn't have too many other names that you'd consider to be studs. Marshawn's been fantastic though.
Yes.
For what I thought he would be. I mean, maybe not.
I just thought it'd be done.
I thought he was toast last year, let alone this year.
Yep.
Interesting fun fact with Rich's team this week. Right now, he only has 2 players playing at 1 o'clock on Sunday. The rest play at 4:30.
Oh, Tamala, you would just bench them all and take the loss, right?
Love it.
The horror.
Yeah, this is the team I would be worried about. He put up that good of a numbers, and he's got 3 absolute monsters coming back for the first time in a while.
But it'll be interesting to see how they incorporate them back. I mean,
yeah, but he doesn't need it right now. You know, he could in a couple weeks when the buys come back, he's got stars potentially. Who knows? We'll see. But they could be absolute stars, and they weren't even on his squad for the first 4 weeks.
yeah, I mean, but and again, you know, will he make the right choices? I mean, he does. He has a ton of good options, and it's always good to have good options. But sometimes you overthink it.
Yeah, I mean, this week he's sitting down Westbrook, and he's sitting down Breda. So he's running them back. He's got Ingram, Edelman, and Mixon all back into the squad right away.
He does, and he does have to pull the 2 defenses, but you can't lose the Chicago defense at this point.
No, they're worth keeping.
Yep, it's worth keeping. One of the few.
Waiver pick.
All right, moving on. I think that says it all.
No one's going to argue with it, Tamala. I mean, if there was ever going to be a week to lose, this was it.
Yeah. All right.
Mitchell did everything he could.
So these are breakdowns.
Brutal on you, Jay. Brutal here, buddy. Look what we did to you, dude.
You know, and you guys both had Mike ranked 5th. I had him ranked 3rd. I thought that was an interesting point of contention. And then our Scarano, you know, JT, you had Scarano 3rd, and I had Scarano 5th.
Yeah, but we are not farther apart than 2 on anything. So
yeah, I mean, it did go 3, 4, 5. I mean, you're.
Yeah, but for blind rankings, this is pretty darn close.
Yeah, this is pretty close here, my friend.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit on Joel's.
Yeah, even so, 2. 2's all we ever separated by. Pretty close.
All right, so these are the rankings. You know, 1 4-0 team. That would be me. You know, 4 3 1.
Tied for a playoff spot, and you guys put me in last place.
But you want to know why? Okay, so this is why, JT.
I know why, Matt. I'm clearly farcical.
Explain to the audience, Matt. Don't let him do that.
Please explain to me how I have 300 less points.
Explain to the audience, please.
I mean, you have basically 200 less points than the #1 scoring team, which is me, by the way.
Oh, cool.
You know, Jake's in 2nd, and then after that, you have the Michael Thomas.
All right, and here's what I would argue. I would argue that I'm only 30 points behind Brian, but that I've had 50 more points less scored. So he's had a little bit of a rougher go. But I don't think our squads are that different, and I have 2 wins and he doesn't. So I think that
I will say, you know, in JT's defense here, these points against over 4 weeks. I mean, we're looking at a difference of well over 100. You know, what are we talking here? Into the hundreds in 4 weeks. Divide that up for a second here. That's 30 points. Take away or add 30 points to any given week. This, guys, I think is just proof now that it's right in front of me of why we need to really take a look at the new scoring system.
Never gonna happen, Mike. Pipe dreams, buddy.
I mean, I'm looking at my points against, and it's 504, and I'm looking at the top points against, and you're talking 651. Divide it by 4. Add that to anyone's score any given week.
Yeah, or Collins 503. Both of you have benefited.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah. I agree, but I mean,
You just think it's a lost cause, my friend.
I do. I don't think we're going to convince people. I don't think they feel like it has enough value to it, but it is astounding when you start.
Jake, I have a question for you though.
Mm-hmm.
You're 2-0 at home and 0-2 away.
Mm-hmm.
Is it something about the home crowd that just fires you up?
Yeah, I mean, it's more so that when we go on the road, I can't seem to get a good night's sleep. I have a lot of issues with the mattress, and my hands.
That's at the Hyatt. Must not really be.
Whenever I sleep in a hotel, my hamstring doesn't work the next day. Me and Mr. Fournette.
Sign Leonard Fournette.
All right. Let's
Look
go.
at the matchups, Tamala.
Yes, sir.
All right. I'll pull up our first one heading into week 5, a bigger bye week, I think, than we were. So the first one, I believe, is Jake versus myself.
Okay.
Currently, we are looking at I am projected to lose, which I know would be a surprise. But there's moves to potentially be made. I made a couple moves today. I'm kind of going all in with a couple of Indies guys now that I got the news about a few of them being out. I don't feel great about my tight end situation at all. I just don't think anybody's out there that I like.
No.
Does Mixon come back full throttle here? Maybe.
Yeah, my best hope for a win is that they ease Ingram back in, and he only has a couple points. Edelman doesn't do much because they blow him out. Mixon only plays a little bit because he's.
And bearing in mind that Gio has had, I mean, like, and I know you'd think, well, no, Mixon has the job 100%, but Gio looks really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know what? At the same time, Gio's been on the injured report all week, and he didn't practice today.
Oh.
Tamala, I have 3 guys going on Thursday night. What do you think of that?
I hate it.
I love it.
But I mean,
swinging at Jake.
Look, I like the Hines pickup. I think that's a solid pickup, especially with Hilton. I think he's in line for a lot of targets.
Yeah, and Max out again. So.
Yeah. So.
All right. The next one I got is Angela versus Casey.
Okay.
Do you know Kamara is averaging 34 points a game?
She has Trubisky going on a bye, and of course she has Newton coming back. We're going to assume that gets
White Snake. Here we go again.
I don't know. I mean, I'm just saying, like, we're going to assume it gets made, but so let's replace some of those points on the 100 with Newton's points.
Well, I mean, if you gave Trubisky his average of 50, she's projected to win.
Yeah, I wouldn't, but I don't know if I'd do that for Newton, but that's fine. I could see him maybe taking one in the end zone against the Giants as well.
But, I mean, but you know, with
is no Mitchell. We all know that.
You know, if Mixon actually comes back, do you still play Bernard?
No. You know, I don't know. I don't know if that's one of the ones that if I had other options, I might just avoid Bengals running backs for a week.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable.
But hey, I don't know if this advice is falling upon deaf ears. Or if it's warranted.
Casey's banking on Freeman being back. That's
which I think you have to. He's been practicing.
If I were Casey, I'd really start to think about if Fitz needed to be played.
Yeah. But who would you put in there?
I mean, honestly, I think there are guys on the waiver wire that are better than what he's doing right now. I don't think he has anybody to throw to him. I think he's hurt. I think he's old. He's had one game above 6 this year.
You know, it's interesting what's happening with Parker. You know, he was out again last week. He played that 1 week. You know, you don't hear much about it.
I don't know what to tell you, my friend.
Yeah. All right, who's next? I got
Jake and the Michael Thomas against Colin.
Yeah.
All right. This looks to be close. Michael looks to have the lead. by a couple points.
Going with Brown in Baltimore. He's hit, you are right about your Bear bye week hit, is that this does come up. Again, I actually prefer it to be this way. Look, you take a couple flyers. Maybe Brown has
like it too. I hate the dink and dunk of losing a few guys here and there. I think I'm a bigger fan of when you just go ahead and
maybe Cooper Kupp will have another big game. I can't imagine Earl Thomas providing too much help over the top, but perhaps maybe from the sidelines with a gesture.
with a gesture.
I don't know.
And don't worry, Des Bryant's on a bye.
And I certainly will say that your Legion of Boom and playing the Rams or whatever, that used to kind of be something we'd look at, and it's pretty well gone now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. But you know what? Ajayi, him playing with that back, you just don't know what's going to happen. Tyreek Hill against Jacksonville, that looks like a real tough matchup.
The running back depth on that team was one of the things that was discussed earlier in the year. And when Ajayi was having really good games, we're like, oh, what's the problem? And you kind of have it right now.
Yeah, fair enough.
But Yeldon could play really well. I don't know.
Yeah,
that's
good, but he could also do nothing
very well when Fournette's been out. So, big matchup for the next one: 3-1 versus 3-1. Team Carter versus you, Scarano.
My scores, believe it or not, my projected scores have crept up a little bit. I definitely have some decisions that I need to make. I'm not completely done right here and who I'm going to play and stuff like that. I don't know. I think Rich is a really, really good team. But I think that I'm competitive here for certain.
He would have beat you the first 2 weeks. You would have beat him the next two. So you guys are neck and neck.
I'd say that we're actually neck and neck when you really look at it, and I think that I kind of did that in my rankings.
Yeah,
I think the big thing is what Cook does for Rich on Thursday night.
It's
okay.
Cook.
Yeah.
Cook versus one has an S. It's in plural.
No, disagree. Your Cook also does not have an S.
No, Brandon Cooks has an S.
Dalvin Cook, my friend. Look again.
There we are, my friend. Beat again. Go ahead, guys.
Let's move on to our next matchup. We have Brian taking on Rachel. Will this be the week Brian gets his first win?
Oh, man.
Wow.
Got to play your old lady, huh?
Yeah, this is a payback. It's a battle of a household. Neither team's great. I know Joelle and I have been here. We've had this.
It's never good, my friend.
Rachel is going to bump up her projection the minute she takes out TY.
And I'd imagine she'll do so. She's probably still listening right now.
Yeah. But against the Jacksonville defense, that's an interesting matchup.
I think he's a play every week, though.
Yeah, and KC's at home, and I don't think Jacksonville's defense has been what we thought they were last year. They've been good, but I don't know if they're necessarily this impossible. Nobody can score.
I would still play all my Chiefs guys. I'd play Tyreek Hill. I'd play Mahomes. I'd play,
especially when they're home. If there was in Jacksonville, maybe a different story. But
and then with Brian, if Gronk doesn't play, what does he do? Like you said, there's not much available on the waiver wire.
Oh, tight ends are brutal. Casey has 90% of them.
Let's just, guys, you get a trade going.
But you know what? I do think Diggs has a huge game against the Eagles.
Yeah, you don't like your squad, huh? That Corey Davis really pissed you off.
It did. That was a game they should have won. All their games have been too close this year. It was just.
Yes,
I'll save something for my hot take on this one.
Last game is you, right, Tama?
I'm taking on Joelle.
Another big one. Joelle, it should be 3-1, but sneaking in at 2-2, going against the only undefeated squad.
And I don't feel confident.
I knew it. Say he didn't think it'd do well. I knew it said he didn't do well. I knew it. Now, how many Thursday games you got tomorrow? Uh-oh. I'm seeing a lot of Sunday afternoon action here, my friend.
Ooh.
I knew it. I tell you this, Jamala. You only have Barkley playing at 1. You have Hyde playing at 1. You're in trouble, buddy.
Yeah, that's if I leave Hyde in.
There might be a better 1 o'clock replacement.
I think Dwell's got some choices to make. She's been back and forth on Rivers versus Rodgers a lot, and I think she may make a move there. I also think she will, as long as she's thinking about it, I think she'll put Jordan Reed back in instead of Njoku.
Do you think that she'll drop the Pittsburgh defense?
No.
I don't know.
I think she likes having 2 defenses.
I do too. But if you look at the Jags, it's kind of like my point. 13, 4, 6, 11. Outside of the Bears, there really is no defense that's been very good this year.
And you would have really thought the Vikings would have been there, you know?
I thought the Rams would have been better than they have been.
No defense can put up points when you are giving up that much offense.
Yeah, that's what it is.
There's no shutouts. There's nothing close to it.
And the Bears is I mean, they're doing very well. Don't get me wrong. It's very turnover heavy. It's very sack and strip sack heavy.
Yeah, I mean, that's how your defense gets points. But it's just that's the only team doing that. Last year we had
the Vikings did it. The Jags did it.
The Rams. You
Eagles
had
did it.
Jacksonville. They were all putting up huge numbers.
Yeah. Defensive numbers across the board do not look pretty.
Way down. It's just ugly.
So,
all right, is it time for the hottest it takes?
It is time for the hottest it takes, my friends. I'd like to commemorate the former 40-year anniversary of the Jonestown Massacre. Now, everyone thinks that you use the expression drinks the Kool-Aid. However, at Jonestown, they use purple Flavor-Aid. And I assure you that that's what's in these cups. So let's go ahead and get started here with my quarterly review. The first team I want to talk about are your Eagles. And this is what I'm going to say. Tamala, I want to stay tuned. I don't have this, but I do think Wentz is going to come back hard, and I don't think you're going to have as many close games anymore. The next team that I'd like to talk about, I'm going to try to do teams that we find ourselves interested in, are the Green Bay Packers. Now, I cannot believe that after this long, you weren't able to get a running game going after this many years. To be frank, you whiffed on Khalil Mack. Your team needed another great pass rusher, and you have perhaps one of the best quarterbacks to ever lace them up. Hey, Packers, sorry, Ange. They're in the dog bowl. The next team that I'd like to discuss is another team, are the Browns. And this is a tough one to say. You know, they haven't had a win in almost 2 years, and they got their win, and Baker Mayfield did throw 4 interceptions on the road, but he had a ton of yards. And you know what I'm going to actually do on this one, and I can't believe I'm doing it?
Oh. Oh.
I'm drinking the Kool-Aid on the Browns. Now, there's a team that I can't talk well enough about. And I think they're going to march to the Super Bowl. I don't even see too many teams being competitive with them. Their defense isn't all out, but like JT was saying, you're just not going to really be able to find it. And the Goff contract is absolutely amazing. You're paying him nothing, so the rest of your team is completely stacked. I mean, they're able to overpay for receivers and defensive linemen. It's amazing. I drink the Kool-Aid on the Rams. Now it's time to get to the nitty-gritty here. And don't get me wrong, we still have one more. We saw a couple sparks from Josh Allen, and I like him. But this year, the Bills in their salary cap have paid Marcel Darius, a backup tackle for the Jacksonville Jaguars, and Eric Wood, a retired player, $25 million in dead cap space. We have the highest dead cap space in the league. And that's some pretty bad management from a team that never really did that well. I'm sorry to say this, Rachel. I'm a fan myself, but they're going in the dog bowl. We should be doing better than that. Lastly, I don't know what to do here. For years, I've discounted them. For years, they said, this is it for Brady. Then he just threw 500 yards in the Super Bowl. Should I drink it? I'll tell you what, guys. I'm going to take a sip. And I'm not going to believe it till Tom Brady is not their starting quarterback. Now it's time for the great reveal. Sorry, JT.
Dude, you spelled it wrong.
Signing off. But I looked.
Beer helps with losing.
Did I write that?
I'm putting you in the dog bowl.
You're putting me in the dog bowl. And that's my commemoration of the quarter way through. And also the, just in general, commemoration of Jonestown. Do you drink the Kool-Aid? Take it away, guys.
Well, listen, I think it's fair to put me there. I certainly don't deserve to be anywhere other than the dog bowl, my friend.
There you go. All right, guys. Good luck in week 5. We will see you next week. And this has been the Fantasy Trail.
Signing off, guys.
Night, everybody.